Okay, I'm back. I'm ready to record. And we're going to finish talking about tuna burgers. And actually, this is um, the tuna burger or the salmon burger, okay? Um, and again, you can use either fresh salmon or fresh tuna, or you can, like leftover tuna, things like that, and or canned tuna. And it says 1 12-ounce can of tuna drained, a cup of finely chopped onions, a third cup of finely chopped parsley, one well beaten egg. But let me tell you something, I like two, depending upon how much. Well, if you're using one can, then yeah, but if you're making it for a family of like six, use 2 eggs in it. And then 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, or you can actually use raw garlic and just chop it up. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a cup and a half of raw wheat germ. Or you can get recreative. They have wheat panko now. They have panko. Remember, this was years ago. And then you use a cup and a half of grated cheese, or you can use soy cheese or Swiss cheese or whatever. And then you use 4 cups of oil. Okay? And that's okay. So you mix it all together, the ingredients, except for the cheese and the oil. Form it into a 3-inch patty with your hand, and in a large frying pan, heat the oil over medium heat and brown the tuna burgers on one side for 3 to 4 minutes, and then do the other side for 3 to 4 minutes. Okay? Cook another 3 to 4 minutes until the cheese is melted, and if you put a cover over the pan, the cheese will melt faster. Serve with brown rice or steamed vegetables. And they have a thing in here for carrot slaw. But like I said, this book is 100 years old, I'm thinking, because I found it at a secondhand store someplace. And this is the one that I really, really like. And this is called Artist's Bread Pudding. And we're going to make some of these. I just pulled out the cookbooks today just to kind of talk to you, get you used to it. But tomorrow, hopefully, God lets me see one more day, we're going to have to start cooking. And this artist bread pudding calls for 6 cups or half a loaf of stale bread broken into 1-inch pieces. And believe it or not, I like wheat bread better than I do white bread. Anyway, wheat bread to me takes on a better flavor in bread pudding. And then 1/2 a cup of raisins, 1 cup of unsweetened coconut, or now you can use unsweetened coconut, milk, whatever. You can use instead of the milk. You can use, actually it's a cup and a half, I'm sorry, of milk or unsweetened coconut milk, or you can use coconut cream, which is absolutely wonderful. You can use soy milk, whatever. 4 eggs, 2/3 cup of honey, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. Now, if you don't want to use honey, you can use turbinado sugar. Mix together bread raisins and, beat them all, and then beat together, well, the eggs, the milk, the honey, then the vanilla and the salt. And then mix all of the ingredients together. And pour into an 8-inch baking pan. Bake at 350 for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until eggs and milk are set. And you pretty much know when it's set. This should be moist, pudding-like cake. If you like it to be more moist, just add a little more milk and eggs. Because you can add just about anything. You can add chopped nuts, you can grate lemon or orange rinds, you can add dried apricots, you can add grated apples, you can add dates. You can drain a can of pineapple if you really want to make it. I mean, there's so many things you can do with this. And it's really, really a good one. Now, like I said, this book is old, but I love it, and I still use it today. Now, the The thing about this book, the reason why I like it so much, I think, is because, when I found it, it was for my kids, and I was trying to prepare meals for them. And of course, my daughter always talks to me about how when she used to go to school, sometimes she would have tomato for her snack and stuff like that, and celery and things like that instead of cookies. But now the funny thing is, she eats that way. So they give you things like, they tell you things about curry and what you can use in curry. Like curry is salad, you can use in salad, in egg dishes and cheese dishes and East Indian dishes and meats and fish and fowl. And dill weed, salads, eggs dishes, cheese dishes, sauces, and slaw types, and salads and pickles, and then garlic in anything non-sweet. Well, I thought that, but then somebody actually sent me a recipe for garlic cake, which I didn't try, but maybe one day when I'm feeling good I will. Of course, ginger may be powdered or grated from the root as meat, fish, oriental dishes, baked goods, and puddings. You know this is old because it says oriental dishes. Mace, outer covering of the nutmeg, the mace, okay, use where you would nutmeg, or cinnamon, as it tastes slightly like a combination of the two. So I guess if you didn't have any mace, and the recipe called for mace, that you would try to combine some nutmeg and some cinnamon together, because it tastes very much like that. And then, of course, marjoram, which is used for meat, fowl, fish, salads, and vegetables, and nutmeg, meat, sauces, soups, baked goods. Oregano, or tomatoes, you can be used with tomatoes, dishes, and egg dishes, and cheese dishes, and beans, meat, fish, fowl, salads, Mexican and Italian food. And of course, paprika, stews, chicken, fish, and potatoes, and rice. Parsley in a dish that is not sweet, or all by itself. It's healthy and healthful. It's supposed to be good for your breath, they say. Pepper, black, nearly everything non-sweet, or bread. Cayenne, and anything that needs a hot taste and is made from hot chilies. Well, did I not see them using a dash of cayenne and chocolate? And it was actually good. Well, I didn't taste it, but I was watching television, and they used a dash of cayenne in the chocolate, and they said that it was actually, the frosting that they made was actually delicious. So I might try that. Now, I did. For the longest time, I would see these jelly, and it was jelly with, like hot peppers in it. Well, I want to say it had a little kick to it, and I kept saying I'm not trying that. And then finally one day, it was at a meeting. I went at the health food stores, and they had it out for us to taste. And I said, well, I'm one of those people, taste it once. If it don't taste good, I won't eat it again. Well, I tasted it, and it was divine. And so ever since then, I've had, been buying pepper jelly. I haven't made it yet, but I think, that's one of the things I'm gonna make maybe in the next couple of weeks. As it gets cold, I really start to cook a lot more. Now, rosemary they use for fowl, meats, fish, vegetable salads. Tarragon, fish especially, also salads, fowls, and sauces. And then thyme, same foods in which you use oregano. Some herbs such as oregano and thyme come in both dried leaves and powdered. Well, most of them come in dried leaves and powdered. Use less when you are using the powder. Now, this is just, like I said, this is pretty much what they had then. Because we have sage, we have so many herbs that I guess I just covered a few, because I found another book and they had a lot of things to say about it. Now, this tells you like how to make oatmeal. It doesn't, it tells you how to boil your oatmeal and whatnot. And then he tells you how to make cottage cheese, crepe, pancakes, and scalloped eggs and sunflower seeds. I did not try that. Okay. Now the great yogurt bowl. Well, I've been making yogurt for years, so I have a yogurt maker though. They used to make it from scratch, and I'm really going to have to try to dig that recipe out. And, you know, it has like basic things that you can do. If you ever, actually, I'll tell you when it was made and maybe you may be able to find it, because it actually is a good book. And it was actually cooking with your kids. It's Cooking Adventure for Kids. And it was Cooking Adventure for Kids, and it was by Diane Devine. And it was made by Houghton and Mifflin in Boston, 1974. So, you know, maybe you might be able to get a copy of it, and it would be kind of good for your kids because, you know, you can add things to it, as I did, as you can possibly see. You know, what I showed you earlier in the other video in the back of it. Now, the one that I like, okay, was the fresh vegetable soup. And that was 3 quarts of water. Well, that was 3 quarts of water then. I make, when I'm boiling my vegetables and stuff like that, I make my own stock now. So if I'm doing chicken, I save whatever chicken. In fact, I'm baking a chicken now because it's Sunday. So I bake that, and then I keep all of the water off of it. And, you know, because the chicken juice goes down into the pan, and I make my stock out of that. And then if I'm boiling vegetables for something, I save some of that vegetable stock. But you can use water, excuse me, or you can use your own vegetable juice. You know, depends upon, you know, how you're doing things. Okay. Leaves and tops of the bunches of celeries and 4 stalks of celery cut into 3-inch pieces. The funny thing about that is I don't cut the leaves off my celery either. Okay. 1 large onion peeled and sliced thin. 1 large clove of garlic peeled and mashed. Put the celery, onion, and garlic in the soup pot and add 3 quarts of water. Bring to a boil. Reduce the heat to simmer. Cover the pot and cook for 45 minutes, and then remove the vegetables with a strainer or a solid spoon and discard and put into your garden compost, if you have a compost. I do. The remaining broth in the soup stock, it can be made the day before and refrigerated. So that's really how you get your soup stock. Okay? Now, to boiling stock, add a 1/2 cup of barley, unhulled if possible, and then 2 cups of finely sliced carrots. Reduce heat to simmer and cook for 25 minutes. Meanwhile, with a blender or a beater, mix 1 12-ounce can of V8 juice, 1 tablespoon of dried basil, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of olive oil or any good salad oil, and I like olive oil, you know that, 3/4 cup of grated cheese, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Well, because if you are trying to take salt out of your diet, then you cut it down and make it 1 teaspoon of salt. Matter of fact, maybe 1/2 teaspoon of salt. People can put their own salt in it, but if you don't like salt, or you can't have salt for reasons, then that would be the best thing to do. Blend well and add to the soup with 1 cup of turnips peeled and cut into 2 1/2-inch pieces, 1 cup of zucchini cut into 1/2-inch slices, fresh canned corn. See, now they use canned corn, and then they use green beans. Can be added to substitute if the cook prefers, but usually for me, I always got string beans laying around. And if you want to cut the corn from the husk, because you've got a couple of ears of corn laying around, do that. Okay, simmer all ingredients for about 20 minutes, and then add salt to taste, and serve with whole wheat bread and a country kitchen egg bread, and those